What's up, guys? Welcome back to Range Logic. Today, we're going over the 1911. This is a pistol that has won us 2 world wars, working on a 3-peat, chambered in the Lord's caliber. Let's get right into it. So the Colt 1911 was designed by John Moses Browning in 1911. That's where it's got its name from. It did serve in both World War I and II, as well as portions of Vietnam. This gun has been around for a long time. It has served many people very well, and it's always been a reliable pistol if treated properly, lubricated, cleaned, and stuff like that. It is chambered in 45 ACP, the original. Since then, there has been 9mm versions, and then we go on to like the 2011s, the double stacked 9s and stuff like that. But this is the classic look, just a 5-inch barrel, no rail, no accessory options, just the pistol itself. This is a Kimber stainless. This is a Series 70 1911. So there is Series 70s and Series 80s. Series 70s did not include a safety plunger. When first designed, they did not have a safety plunger. The firing pin is merely held back with a heavy-duty spring, but it is capable of being overpowered by a smack to the back of the gun or dropping it from a set height where it would get enough inertia for that firing pin to go forward and to hit that primer. So both of the versions I have here today are Series 70 1911s. This is a Wilson Combat Professional, and this is the Kimber. So this is more of a base model. This is more of a custom handgun. So we're gonna shoot both of these in different situations. We're gonna throw them in some snow and stuff like that, kind of see how they react. I'm not anticipating any issues with either of these. They were previously cleaned, and then I've just sprayed them down with some oil, just so we don't have any issues. I don't suspect any, but the new Series 80s, getting back to the Series 70, Series 80, the Series 80 has a safety plunger, much like you'd see in like a modern day Glock or an M&P or a Walther PDP. So that is stopping, it's blocking that firing pin from traveling, even if it's hit. So the trigger must be pressed to shoot those. So if you're going to concealed carry a 1911, I would not recommend a 70 series. I would recommend an 80 series. And then you're gonna carry it cocked and locked, also known as condition 1. So you're gonna have a round in the chamber, safety up, hammer back. This is how you would carry a Series 80. So I would definitely not recommend carrying the 70, especially, if you're going to carry it, do not carry it appendix. That's just a recommendation. So let's go ahead and get some rounds down range. This gun right here has been sitting for about 35 minutes. I haven't shot it. It is loaded. So we're gonna go ahead and just see if the cold has any effect on it. It's about 34 degrees out here right now. So let's go ahead and get some of these down range. There we go, not bad. All ran through. As a note, today we're running just kind of my leftover 45 ACP, so you'll see differences in recoil kind of all over the place. Some are heavy loads, some are lighter. So just keep that in mind as you guys are watching the clips. Some might not recoil as much. It's just because I have a bucket of rounds and they're kind of miscellaneous at this point. So we're gonna go ahead and load these up. We're gonna get some snow on the table, and we're gonna kind of just set them down, pile some snow on top, and then we'll kind of dig them out of the snow and see if the snow affects them at all. So let's get that set up. All right, so instead of going on the table, we'll just go here on the ground. So these are both loaded, cocked, locked, safeties are on. We're just gonna drop it a couple inches into the snow, nothing crazy. And then we're just gonna kind of push some of the snow on top. Yep, there we go. Just kind of encase them. We'll give them a couple minutes and I'll be right back. All right, it's been about 5 minutes. We're gonna go ahead and dig one of these out. First up is the Wilson Combat. It's caked in here pretty good. Now, obviously it's not like packed in, but kind of simulating maybe if you slipped and fell or the gun did drop. Hopefully it didn't go off on you or you had that Series 80. And let's just see. We're gonna try not wiping any of it off, and we're just gonna see if we can get a shot off. safety off. There we go, full mag, slide locked open. All right, let's go ahead and find the Kimber in here. Same thing, we're just gonna grab it by the handle here. Not gonna brush anything off. Safety off. There we go, slide locked open, ran just fine. No big deal at all. So they're not delicate pistols by any means, even though they are steel. And some people might say, you know, you got to worry about the elements and stuff like that. But these guns they're precision machines compared to like a polymer-based pistol. These guns, the tolerances on them are extremely tight, which lends itself to not letting the debris get into the gun to begin with. That's kind of, you can approach reliability on two different ways. Either super tight tolerances, you could think of like an AR-15 with the gas block and the lockup, versus super loose tolerances like an AK-47, where everything's just kind of there and it lets the dirt simply pass through. You kind of want a gun on either end of that spectrum. In the middle is where you can get reliability concerns. So let's move on to the next thing. All right, now we're gonna be a little bit more extreme. Both of these are loaded, but the hammers are down. So there's no round in the chamber. Safeties are off, hammers down, no round in the chamber, no risk of any sort of firing. Only the magazines are loaded. We're gonna go ahead and kind of give them a little bit of a toss from about shoulder height onto the snow. You get a little bit more of that packing snow in there and kind of see what goes on. So just from about right here, there's the Wilson, here is the Kimber. All right, they both kind of tossed and flipped around. Let's go ahead and grab the Wilson. A little bit of snow. Now we're gonna rack it. All right, let's see. We got the slide not fully into battery. Let's see. Got it there. And there we go. Let me see that round. Maybe we had a crappy round here. Let's see. So the round it jammed up on, yeah, it was a reload, a cast bullet. And I'll put a picture of this on the screen right now, but the side of the casing was swelled out when the bullet was set. So that's why that round did not chamber. So it didn't have anything to do with the gun, but I will show this picture here on the screen now so you guys can see what we were looking at. Let's go ahead and grab the Kimber. Same thing, rack it. All right, let's just see if it wasn't the slide release. Yep, or slide stop. So it did empty, the slide just didn't lock back on that one. Well, and it's not even doing it now. So it could be the magazine. Let's go ahead and drop this mag in the Wilson and see if it's the same thing. No, it locked back in the Wilson. So maybe it's just not catching the, there it is. So maybe there's a little bit of snow in there, something like that, but the full size cycled perfectly. No bad rounds on that one. It just did not lock back in the end. So, all right, let's go ahead and grab a few mags, and we're just gonna get some, a couple mags through each one, warm these guns up a little bit, and get my hands warm as well. All right, we're just gonna do some low ready on the timer, single shots, just kind of get a little bit of a warm up going on here, see what happens. Now we are running this round in the chamber, safety on. So at presentation, safety off, shot. .82. Oh, that was a mix up with my glove and the backstrap safety. Try that again. Missed last round, 0.94 on the last one. So 0.82 is my fastest. I don't shoot a lot with gloves, so, and I do think these might be a little bit too small. I have, with the safety on this, it's a little bit of a challenge for me to kind of get that thumb around to get the safety off. I don't want to be resting on the safety while I'm standing here because I don't think that would be good practice. So I'm trying to safety off and then come up, and it's a little bit of an ergonomic thing for me to get used to. So let's go ahead. Oops, well, I guess we're gonna test Snowy Mag. Let's see how she runs. Like a dream. This gun is fun. It's super fun to shoot. So the Professional, the Wilson Professional here, has a shorter barrel than a traditional, but it has that full-size grip. So I really like that. I think it's a nice combo. It is nice for carrying, but being the Series 70, kind of more of a range toy or a home defense gun. I wouldn't see myself daily carrying something without that safety plunger. I've come to really appreciate that feature in modern day handguns, and that's just not the kind of a path I want to go down. But for a home defense or range gun or competition, that's what these are kind of made for. I don't think you could get any better than this. So let's go ahead and switch over to the Kimber and give it a couple shots. All right, so we're going to do the same exact drill with the first magazine, just low ready single shots. And then since we did drop that magazine on the second one for the Wilson, we'll go ahead and drop this magazine and run it through here. All right, safety on. .104. 0.79. There we go. 0.79 was my fastest. Most of the average, 0.9, 0.91, 92, somewhere in that range. So this one, I did find it a little easier to kind of get my thumb up on there. Obviously, I have a couple magazines in, so just some practice can kind of overcome that. So let's go ahead and drop a magazine into some snow. Just throw her right in there. Perfect. Slide lock back. Oop. Let me see if I can get the mag out. There we go. A little bit of ice in there, but slide lock back, everything working. So I can see the oil that I sprayed in here kind of keeping that water at bay as the snow starts to melt on these. So is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna hop in the truck and reload all these magazines. I'm gonna leave these guns out. So now that they kind of got warmed up, we're gonna leave them sit out on the table, reload everything, and then we'll be back and let's see how they run after that, because I think we might start to see some issues with that snow, you know, the water melting now, getting down into everything. Maybe in 20 minutes, it'll be frozen again and we'll see what happens. So we'll be right back. What's up, guys? Just wanted to take a second while we're getting reloaded, have a little reloading intermission, and just want to remind you guys to hit that subscribe button, turn that bell on so you guys get the notifications. It really helps out the channel. It helps the YouTube algorithm kind of push my channel a little bit more and realize that we're out here doing some fun things that maybe people want to see. So please don't forget, hit me a comment. Let me know what your guys' favorite combat pistol is. Remember, subscriptions are free. Medical treatment for frostbite after you pick up all of your brass is not. All right, guys, we got everything loaded back up. These have been sitting out. We sat in the truck for a little extra long. They've been out here for about 25-ish minutes. So we're gonna go ahead and shoot about half a mag through each one and just see if they're still cycling. All right, Kimber, just fine. Let's check out the Wilson. and Wilson Combat just fine as well. So like I kind of anticipated, I think it would take quite a bit colder temperature than what we're sitting at right now. Like I said, we're about 34 degrees. I think you get down into the teens or even lower, then I could think that you would start to see some instantaneous kind of freezing of the lubrication and stuff like that, especially if you're using the wrong type of lubrication. So in winter, it's important to go to something that's made for the temperature, especially if you're concealed carrying and you're maybe working outside in the elements. Your gun's gonna get cold, especially if it's maybe more off-body carry instead of something that's in the waistband. If you're doing something more duty rated, as far as the elements are concerned, you're gonna wanna make sure that your lubrication stands up to the temperatures that you're gonna see. Just like in the summer, you wanna go something a little bit higher viscosity, something a little bit thicker. But in the winter, you want something pretty thin because that gun is already cold, and you wanna make sure that lubrication doesn't take forever to warm up and start flowing around that gun. So you wanna make sure you pick the right lubrication for the weather. All right, we're set back here at about 50 yards. We got the Kimber full size, couple loaded mags. We're gonna kind of shoot and kind of walk back and see kind of where we can get hits reliably. We might get one or two at the 100 yards, but are they reliable? That's kind of the important part. All right, there's 50. Let's go ahead and step back. All right, here we're back at about 75 yards. Just got you guys sitting on the ground here. Let's just take a couple shots and see if we can hit anything. There we go, we got one. Let's grab another mag here. We get one more, then we'll go ahead and go back to 100. There we go. Let's go ahead and jump back to 100. All right, here we are at 100. Let's see if I can get some hits. Let's grab a fresh mag. Nothing, just like that. 100 yards, I mean, it's entirely doable. I have done it in the past. It is 34 degrees out though. I'm a little cold. So we definitely got two hits there at 75. I got one more mag back here with me. So we'll go ahead and give it one more try. There we go. There's a hit. All right, let's go ahead and move back up. All right, so some of you guys might be wondering, hey, what is a 1911? What makes it tick? Well, a 1911, designed by John Moses Browning in 1911, was a service pistol for World War I and World War II. It included features such as a grip safety in the back, meaning that you had to get a full grip on the handgun for it to go off. You also have a oversized, rather large actual manual safety that you can flick up and down. This is your slide release right here. And then your magazine release. And then your trigger. Now, some more modern day triggers are flat faced, and the trigger is pretty unique how it goes all the way through to the sear. There's actually the wire goes on either side of the magazine. If you look down in the magazine well, you can see it kind of split. So the trigger is pressed completely horizontally back instead of a fulcrum design. It goes straight back to the rear. Here is your oversized beaver tail, and then the hammer sets up on the top. That way, with the beaver tail, I think it would be almost impossible to get a slide bite with a 1911 because you can't physically get your hand up high enough. And then around to the muzzle here a lot of the more modern day 1911s, this is your barrel bushing and then your recoil spring. So to take this gun down, you push down the recoil spring here and then you rotate that barrel bushing around, and that's how that comes off. So this is the most bone stock 1911 version, and it's a pretty fantastic handgun. It's served many people very well over the years. All right, so we've had some fun with the 1911 today. We got some shooting out of the way. We kind of threw it in some snow, let it kind of get as cold as we could out here today, and shot a handful of magazines through both of these. The only failure we had was on that Wilson with the round that I will put in here so you guys can see a picture of it as well. These guns sometimes can be finicky. They've been known to have issues, and people complain about them and stuff like that. But I would be curious to know the details of their situation. First off, what brand was it? Was it a reputable brand, or are we talking like a Taurus 1911? Are we talking a Kimber? And not to say that those issues aren't valid and real. Like, totally, a gun can fail. There's nothing to say it couldn't. But I venture to say that more 1911 failures are user error, whether it's maintenance or shooting in crappy environments without lubrication and stuff like that. So it's a great handgun. I absolutely love it. I don't get out to shoot it very much anymore, so it was a pleasure making this video and getting out here and having a reason to put some 45 down range. It's always enjoyable. One other thing I want to talk about with 1911s, depending on the manufacturer of your 1911, because it is a steel lower, steel slide, all steel components. The only plastic on here is these grip panels. Most, not all, but most 1911 manufacturers are actually hand fitting their slides to their lowers, which gives you that tight tolerance that we spoke about earlier as far as debris getting into the gun and stuff like that. So Wilson Combats, all Wilson Combats are hand fit, as well as Kimber 1911s are hand fit. And what that means is when they get these, the lower and the slide, it's oversized. So they actually have to go in on these channels and they will file down the channel until it just fits the gun perfectly. So this slide is mated to this lower perfectly. And that's how I believe a 1911 should be made. And I think that is where you get the good reliability on a 1911. I think ones that are a little more universal, that they're just super duper mass produced, I think you could start to see some reliability concerns with that. So my suggestion, if you want to get into the 1911 realm, would be to go pick up a Kimber. I think they are the most budget friendly as compared to reliability. I would not be looking at getting a $400 1911 and expect that gun to perform as well as like a Kimber. These guns like this one here can be had, I believe, anywhere from $900 to about $1,100, $900 to $1,100. So it's an expense for sure, but if you're trying to get into this, I think you should do your research and plan accordingly and get something that is worth it, something that you're going to buy one time and you're going to go, damn, that was a good purchase. This gun has actually been in my family for many years, many years. This was actually a relative's gun, and now I've gotten it, and then it'll get passed down as we go on. So this is old. This is not by any means a new gun, and it still functions flawlessly. So sometimes you get what you pay for, and make sure you guys do your research. Thank you guys for stopping by on this cold, cold day. Hit the subscribe button, hit me with a like, a comment. Let me know what's the coldest weather you guys have ever shot in. So for me, today is actually not the coldest day I've shot in. I've shot in the mid-teens before, and it was absolutely miserable. But let me know what's the coldest temperature or the most inclement weather you guys have ever shot guns in. Thank you guys for stopping by. This is the 1911, and we'll see you on the next one.